Hi there, I'm Robin Shuckburgh, and you find me at the Foodies Festival in South Parks in Oxford. I'm outside the Appleton Rum bus. Now, I do know the best places to take you. We're going to go in and talk to Ian Burrell, who is the global ambassador for the rum industry in the West Indies. I'm very much looking forward to this. We're going to talk to him about the state of the industry and what it's all about. Come with me. Very nice to see you. It's very good of you to give me a little bit of your time at this wonderful Foodies Festival going on here.
My favourite subjects.
Well, that's the joy, isn't it? I know little about rum, Ian, but can we talk a little bit about, first of all, about you?
Yeah.
I believe you were actually born in the West Indies, is that right?
No, I was actually born in London, but my parents are from Jamaica. Right. And in fact, my mum used to say that inside this house is Jamaica and out there is England. So it felt like he was born in the Caribbean with two Jamaican parents and speaking patois inside the house. So, but I'm fortunate to have two citizenships of Jamaica and Great Britain.
Right, I understand. And you have this rather wonderful role they call the global ambassador for rum, which I have a suspicion you probably developed yourself. Is that right?
I did indeed. Yeah. No one actually officially appointed me as a global ambassador, but I was actually a rum ambassador for a particular rum company, a Jamaican rum company, Appleton, and helping them to launch around the world actually got me to realize I didn't know anything about rums. I knew about Appleton rums, but not about other rum. So while traveling around the world, learning about the category of rum and learning how people drank it and how I wanted to actually teach people about it, I developed the global rum ambassador persona, and it stuck with me. That's what the media now call me.
I think it's an absolutely brilliant name, and I can't think why on earth everybody isn't trying to do that with some other product. And look at it, it's an absolutely brilliant name.
Where's the vodka ambassador? Where's the gin ambassador?
I might work on that one. We'll see how it goes. Ian, tell me a little bit about the history of the rum industry in the West Indies, because it's complicated and goes back a very long way indeed.
Indeed, a long way. In fact, the history of rum in the West Indies is like the history of Great Britain, Spain, Portugal, France. Any of the empires actually went to the New World to basically expand their empire, because rum was an important part of cash flow, as well as sugarcane and molasses. So the history of rum is the history of Europe as such. I always like to say one of the reasons why Great Britain was great is because they had a lot of countries that produced rum.
Well, that seems absolutely fair enough. So it stems from the sugarcane plantations, which were presumably not planted specifically for rum.
No, sugar was the main cash crop. If you had land that could grow sugar, you were basically rich. If you were a landowner that had sugar, you could sell to various different other governments and countries. You were a wealthy millionaire at that particular time. Now, rums were made from the leftovers or byproduct of making sugar, but then it became so important, it actually became the main cash crop. So sugar was the subsidiary to rum over the course of time. But initially it was just making rum from the leftovers from molasses of making sugar.
Right, so tell me a little bit about how it's made. I can see that you got the molasses, you've created a sugary environment. And you presumably, you tell me how it then works.
Well, rum is like any other spirit. First of all, you had your raw material, and the raw material for rum is any byproduct from sugarcane. So it has to be either fresh sugarcane juice, syrup, or molasses. And what you do is then you ferment that. For a couple of days, it becomes alcoholic as the natural yeast or your own propagated yeast actually starts to eat those sugars. It becomes alcoholic, 8-9% alcoholic, and then you distill it. The same way as any other spirit. You distill it to strip away all the other products, get it, purify it, get it up to like 80-90% alcohol by volume, and then stick it in a barrel, and then you got your rums. That's it.
Now, so the stuff you're putting in the barrel is presumably crystal clear.
It is.
But it has flavours that you don't get from grain spirits.
That's very true. They say that a lot of pure rums, you can taste the raw material. In fact, that's one of the specifications of rum. You have to be able to taste the raw material, which is the sugarcane. So when you distill it, you want to distill it to anything less than, say, 95% alcohol by volume, and then you can still taste some of the properties. If you really want to get the flavor of the rum, use a pot still. pot stills for me are the king. They're the old style of making spirits. Single malts use it, cognac use it, tequilas use that as well. Use a pot still, you're getting a lower alcohol by volume yield, but you're getting so much flavor in that white spirit before you stick it inside a barrel to actually get it some color and even more flavor.
I remember, I'm interested you should describe that, because I remember the master blender of Appleton, who I think is called Joyce Spence. Yes. She's an amazing woman, but I know one or two of these sorts of people who are very specifically good at that particular kind of job. They're a very strange bunch that I'm hugely full of admiration for them. But she mentioned that the stills themselves, I believe Appleton's, for example, have two specific pot stills that they use to make their rum, that they, in fact, instill a certain citrus quality to this.
Like an orange peel note, and it is the design of the still. It's the copper inside there as well that reacts with the actual distillation as well, takes away all those sulfury notes that you don't want, the undesirable notes. And the way the still is created and the way they actually run their stills does give a certain quality. It gives a certain signature note. That's why one of their rums is called a signature blend, and that's a signature note that Appleton tried to have and instill all through their rums. But that orange peel note is significant to the Appleton estate.
Yes, that's extremely interesting. So, okay, well, we've still got this liquid that comes out of the end of that still, if you'll forgive me saying so, gin clear.
At least you didn't say vodka clear.
No, well, that's right. No, stay clear from that.
Water white.
Water white is a good one. I'll try to remember that. Then it goes into a maturation period, presumably.
Yes, it goes into a maturation period. Now, the thing is with Jamaica, you don't actually have to age your rums to be called rum. In some countries, say like Cuba, Puerto Rico, you have to age your rum before it can be called rum. If it's not aged or it hasn't seen any wood, it's called aguardiente, basically like a fire water as such.
That's a little like whiskey, which can't be called whiskey until it's been aged for 7 years.
Exactly. And Jamaica, fortunately, can sell unaged rums as such and still call them rums. But all of the best tasting rums, a lot of people would say, or the smoothest rums, are the ones that have seen wood. So they'll mature it inside once used American oak casks that bourbon's been in for a couple of years, and then the bourbon's been slung out or drunk. We get the barrels at a cheap rate and then stick rum inside there, and that's where it develops its color and its complexity.
And it picks up some of the vanilla from the oak and
some natural vanillins and notes. It picks up some natural sugars as well, because they burn the inside of the barrels. So what it does, it caramelizes natural sugars inside the wood, and some of that flavor is imparted inside the actual rum. And we also pick up other notes that we assume of things like caramel, and toffee, and leather, and tobacco. There's a range of different flavors and aromas that we pick up from an aged and matured rum.
And that's brilliant. So they experiment with the barrels themselves, presumably, and where they come from and so on.
They do, yes. American oak is the most popular, but now a lot of rum companies are using limousine oak casks from cognac. They're using other European woods, using sherry and whiskey, sherry casks and wine casks as well for their various different types of finish.
I've noticed quite a lot of more wine casks being used for several spirit maturation. That seems to be working nicely. So, okay, well, it sounds like an absolutely glorious product. It has an almost unlimited range of possibilities.
That's right.
How important is it now to the economy of the region?
Oh, it's immense. It's so important. I used to love to think, when I used to work with Appleton directly, I used to love the fact that every bottle of rum that was sold is contributed to the economy inside the country. Because Appleton is a big employer of Jamaicans on the island, whether it's they're working on the plantations and sugar plantations, whether they're working in the distillery or the aging warehouse, in communications. It's so important. And it's not only Appleton in Jamaica, it's Barbancourt in Haiti, which employs 80% of the workforce on the island indirectly. So the rum industry for the tropical regions for the Caribbean is an important part of the economy, and that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about selling rums from the tropics and especially rums from the Caribbean.
Yes. I mean, that makes a massive difference. And now tell me, then, in that case, to what extent is the market growing in the rest of the world? Obviously down to you to a degree, because you travel the world, you give rum presentations around the world. I know that you do this, and certainly in Europe and occasionally elsewhere. The market presumably is growing everywhere, is that right?
The market is growing. A lot of people are understanding that rums are not just the basic spirit you mix with your favorite mixer. And rum and coke is still a very, very popular bar call. They're now discovering there are some really good sipping rums. And these are rums that are either been aged and matured for vast amounts of time in the Caribbean, and they equate to any of the cognacs or malt whiskies out there to a lot of consumers. So that's great that they're actually putting themselves in that mindset. And a lot of rums now, as I said, are now being developed and aged in various different finishes with different casks. So there are limited edition rums, certain rums where you might get like 500 bottles that are aged in like a particular sherry cask. So all the connoisseurs are now are seeking and looking out for these blends of rums. So it's great to see the premium sector growing, and it's, I would say it's nice to see the lower sector still there, but it's not growing at the same rate as the premium sector.
No, that's very interesting. So, and that gives opportunities to small distilleries, because that's the key, really, isn't it?
Exactly, and that's why I'm excited about it. It does give a chance to the small distilleries to compete on that level, because their economy of scales is not going to be as big as, say, like a big, massive company like, say Bacardi, which is the biggest rum brand in the world, and a small company in, say, Grenada that's making premium rums still will have their market, because they're not going to compete with the Bacardis on the lower end because of that economy of scale, but they can compete in the premium sector because they know that they have a market that is looking for premium and good quality rums.
It's absolutely fascinating. It sounds like a wonderful time for the rum industry.
Oh, yeah.
Now, you started a thing called the Rum Fest, which is happens in London, I think.
Happens in London, yeah. So I started that. This will be our 10th one. So I started that back in 2007. But I've influenced rum festivals all over the world, from Spain to France to Germany to Miami. I've helped set up a rum fest in Hong Kong, Mauritius, Czech Republic. There's rum fests all over the world now, and it's just bringing people together to enjoy the category of rum.
This is such an achievement, Ian. I mean, it really is. It's quite extraordinary, this. I do congratulate you. But I mean, we must, if we may, we'd like to come to one of your next rum fest and have a look.
Bring these guys here.
I will bring these two lovely guys.
They look too young, though. I don't think they can have some water.
They've been having trouble with your bar staff all morning.
But yeah, please come down. It's we have like over 400 rums to sip and savor. We have master blenders from all over the world. Joy Spencer will be there this year, so you can have a little tit-tat with her. Wonderful. We have master blenders from South America, Central America, from France as well, that buy and blend rums from all over the world. We have distillers, we have brand ambassadors, we have 2,000 people over the 2 days just sipping and savoring and really enjoying the category of rum. Master classes, and we show how versatile rums are, like rum and chocolate pairings, rum and food. We've got people like Levi Roots coming up and showing how he cooks with rum. So it's such an entertaining day, and even if you don't drink, it's a wealth of knowledge to learn about the rum category at Rum Fest.
I'm always the only person who doesn't drink at these sorts of events, and
I'm always making sure everyone else is enjoying themselves.
Absolutely terrifying. Since I've got involved in the spirit world, I find that I've been doing wine tastings all my life. I now don't get to drink anymore. It's a terrible shame. But Ian, I'm really grateful to you for your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I think we're going to do a little tasting later on with.
We are. That one of my roadshow tastings here at the Foodies.
That'll be very enjoyable. We look forward to that. And thank you so much for your time.
No problem. Cheers.
Take care. Now we're still outside the Appleton bus. We're having a very enjoyable time with the West Indian rum people. And we're now going to meet Adam Westbrook, who's going to show us how to make a rum cocktail and tell us a little bit about the rum itself.
Welcome everybody to the Appleton Estate Rum Bus. Thank you very much for joining us for this tasting today. We should all have a cup with some rum in our hands. Have we got one of those? It's a good start, excellent stuff. So the rum that you guys have in front of you now is our signature blend. Now this is a blend of 15 different rums that we produce on our estate over in Jamaica. The blend itself was created by my boss, an exceptionally talented lady called Joy Spence. She's been blending rums for about 37 years now. She's been our master blender for the last 23, and she was in fact the world's first woman to hold the title of master blender as well in any spirit category. So she's a little bit of a pioneer. Now the first thing I'd like us to do, guys, we're going to be tasting the Mai Tai in a couple of moments. I'm going to invite a couple of you guys up and you're going to help me make a Mai Tai cocktail. But before we get there, we need to understand the roots of why we're getting there. And the reason I'm having this glass in front of our sugarcane press today is because the story of rum all starts with this stuff here, sugarcane. So this is at our base. Now what I'd like to ask you guys to do is to have a smell of the rum first. I don't want to see anybody swirling the cups. We may have seen wine tasters doing that, but at this strength of alcohol, you're just going to get a big nose of ethanol if you do that. So let's have a smell. And remember guys, there are no wrong answers here. Everybody's palates react slightly differently, but perhaps someone can give a shout to me of some of the tasting notes that maybe you're picking up from here. Some spice, yeah? Certainly I get some notes of cinnamon on there, notes of nutmeg. That's certainly a feature of this rum for sure. Is any of us getting some sweetness at all? Vanilla. Vanilla's an excellent one, yeah. Certainly I get heavy notes of vanilla with the signature blend. Now the rums in the signature blend are aged from between 4 years old and they go up all the way to about 11 years old in this particular blend. And what we should be getting after those vanilla notes, after those sweet things and the spices that we picked up, is anybody getting a hint of citrus at all? Now we've gone back and smelled it again and our noses have become more accustomed to the sweetness. A little bit of orange peel perhaps, and apricot. Now what I'd like to ask everybody to do is take a little sip of your rum, make sure you keep some in your cup, take a little sip of the rum. I'd like you to coat the mouth with the tongue and then swallow the rum and then breathe in through the mouth. So those kind of more mature notes that we might be able to get on the finish there, they come from these things right here. And that is the casks that we age our rums in. Now, we age all of the rums on Appleton Estate in American oak casks. So they've all had bourbon sat in them previously. And what happens when we transport those casks from Tennessee, if you like, in the States, somewhere around that area, over to Jamaica? Well, it's hot at both sides of that journey. But in the middle, whilst being transported, the temperature drops. And so what happens with those casks is that the wood contracts slightly, it squeezes itself. And we can almost think about this as wringing a flannel, if you like. We're squeezing the last bits of flavour from that bourbon, from that American oak aged bourbon, out onto the inside ledge of our drink, and that's what lends the wonderful textured finish to Appleton Estate. Now my friends, we cannot drink rum without having a toast, so raise your cups into the air. If I get lost or chance to roam, then pick me up and send me home. Salut. Now, the next one that we're going to have a little taste of here is going to be the 12-year-old rare blend. And so the 12-year-old rare blend is the rum that we use in our signature serve for the Mai Tai cocktail. And so we're going to be talking a little bit about the origins of the Mai Tai in a moment. We're going to make one between us. And so I want you guys to have a little taste of the rum that we're using to make this Mai Tai with first. So whereas our signature blend was a blend of 15 different rums produced on our estate, ranging in age between 4 years and 11 years. This is 4 specifically selected rums that are aged for a minimum of 12 years. See how when we started talking about rum, the sun started to come out, guys? There's a reason we make this stuff in the Caribbean. Now the word rum itself is quite an interesting one. In fact, it comes from an old English word, rumbullion or rumbustious. So when the plantation slaves were working with their Irish counterparts at this time, the people of the Caribbean weren't particularly big drinkers at this point, and of course the Europeans who colonised really were. And so the locals couldn't understand the fieriness, the burn, if you like, that they got from the alcohol, and they were given the word rumbullion by the people who were producing it. That word was eventually shortened over a period of time to rum, and we have the wonderful spirit that we know and love today. So remember those notes that we had from the signature blend. Again, let's bring the cup to our nose and have a smell first thing first. And again, guys, shout some flavours out to me. What are we getting here?
Oak in that.
Some oak, again, really good, yeah. And this is going to have more of those oaky textures, those almost tobacco-led textures, if you like, because it's been in the cask much longer than the stuff from the signature blend has as well. For me, the sweetness on the nose is a little more intense, whereas last time we said vanilla. I want to say cinder toffee and honeycomb with the 12-year. You'll notice it has a darker hue to it as well. Then behind that, I certainly get chocolate and coffee. So this is something that we could think of as a little richer and a little more intense. Again, we don't drink rum without having toast, so our cups in the air. To wives and lovers, may they never meet. Okay, so we're going to get started on the Mai Tai now. Now the version of the Mai Tai that we make is the Trader Vic Mai Tai. This is a really, really classic rum cocktail. And in fact, the original version of the Mai Tai was produced using one of our partner rums, Ray and Nephew 17-year-old. The Ray and Nephew is very, very rare these days, but it's got the cocktail itself has a history and a tradition with the Appleton Estate. So, who would like to come and join me and help me make some Mai Tais? Anyone? Don't all volunteer at once. This lady here. Step forward. You were just the only person making eye contact with me. And this gentleman here as well. So the first thing that we need is to get some ice chilling in our cocktail shakers. We're going to use the ice as we shake the drinks to aerate it, and so we're going to get some of the characteristics of the different flavors that we've got going through there into the mix. So my friend, if you would like to pour some of this into that receptacle there, I'll say when. Great stuff. What was your name, my friend?
Darren.
Very well done, Darren. And Ellie, if you'd like to do the same into the glass one here for me, again, I'll tell you when. Wonderful stuff. Thank you very much, guys. If you'd like to take your places again. So we've started with 50 mils of the 12-year-old rare blend Appleton rum. Ladies, if you'd like to come and join me, please. So the next thing that's going to go into this cocktail is some orange curacao. This is an orange-based liqueur. It's going to give us some sweetness to cut through the more refined flavors of the rum. So again, what was your name, my friend?
Charlotte.
Charlotte, if you'd like to just pour a little of this in there for us. Perfect, thank you. And Bernadette, again, if you'd like to do the same here for me. Perfect. So we've gone with 12.5 mils of the orange curacao alongside 50 mils of the Appleton Estate 12-year rare blend. My friends, if you'd like to come and join me. So the next ingredient that we're going to put in here is this one. It's called orgeat. Has anyone heard of orgeat before? It's an almond-based syrup. So this is just sugar and almond. And what I'd like you to do, my friend, is just pour a little dash of that into the silver receptacle there for me. That's perfect. And if you could do the same for me here, mate, just pour it slowly. Perfect, perfect. So we've gone with 15 mils of the orgeat almond-based syrup. And now the final ingredient that we're going to put into the mix, in the finest Blue Peter traditions, this is what I made earlier. All this is just freshly squeezed lime juice that I've done earlier on today to make it a little easier for me to pour. My friend, if you'd like to come forward. My friend, if you'd like to come forward. What's your name? Corbin. Corbin, if you could just pour some of this into the silver container for me there, I'll say when. A little bit more. Perfect. And your name was?
Jessica.
Jessica, if you'd like to pour some into this glass one for me here. A little bit more. And that's perfect. And so we've gone with 20 mils of lime juice for the finish there. Now, guys, what's the most important part about making cocktails? Shaking cocktails, exactly right. So here we go. Seal the Boston container there. It'd be really bad if I got that wrong with the cameras around, wouldn't it? Now, who are the most two important people? These ladies here, come and step forward. Because I'm getting a bit tired at this point, so what I need you to do is help me shake the cocktail. So we're going to face the larger part of the shaker outwards. Nice grip like that. Up and down and out. If you'd like to start with that one. We're going to turn, so we've got the larger pour facing outwards, so we can't get wet. And if you want to give that a good shake for me, please, ladies. Come on, we're shaking them to wake them up, not put them to sleep. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Okay, I think we need someone to tag out. Guys at the back here, can you take over for us? Come on, come on. Give it a good old shake for us. And what did you say, my friend? It's cold? Well, great stuff. That's how we know the drinks are ready. So thanks very much for your help there. If we can just see what we've got building up on the outside is some condensation there, which tells us that the temperature on the inside is going to be appropriate for us. So now the last thing that we need to do, and if we were making these in bars, if we were, rather than doing it out front here, we might want to strain the ice off over some fresh ice. But doing it rustic, making it at home with your friends, I think you've gone to the effort of shaking those flavors over the ice. Let's use the flavored ice for the finish. So I'm just going to pour all of that in there. Lovely stuff, nice and aerated. We can see the foam over the top. It means we've got some air amongst those liquid molecules. That's great stuff. And then same again here, just going to give that a little tap. And again, just going to fill the glass there. Now, who'd like to smell some mint? Smell?
Minty.
Minty, you say?
Minty.
Can you put that in your hand for me, sir? Flat in the hand. And clap really hard. And again. And now smell it again. Now it's really minty, yeah? So what we've done by clapping the mint there is we've just taken some of the essential oils out from inside of that mint. And it's really nice and fresh on the nose now. So with those intense flavors of almond, of orange, of rum in there, we're just going to use the freshness of the mint to cut through this on the finish. So I'm going to give it a nice crushed ice cap like that. a mint sprig. Finish with a hint of lime there. And that is our Mai Tai with Appleton Estate 12-year rare blend made in the trade of Vic style. Now, who can tell me for a bonus point what the term Mai Tai or Mai Tai Roi means in the ancient Polynesian tongue? Any ancient Polynesian linguists here? No? Come on, what's wrong with you people? It actually means out of this world in the ancient Polynesian tongue, and I'm going to let this lady here be the judge of that. You have the first taste and pass that round and let me know what you think.
Oh my god, it's out of this world.
Wow, there you go.
Nailed it.
So guys, thank you very much for listening. My name's Adam. I'm one of the brand ambassadors for Appleton Estate. I hope you've enjoyed the taste of the rum. I hope you've enjoyed the Mai Tai and the history of the Mai Tai as well there. Please enjoy us on the bus for another cocktail. Thanks for listening, guys. Thank you.
Hello there, I'm Robin Shuckburgh, and welcome to the show. You find me today, not for the first time, outside the wonderful cookery school Dancing Trousers, we're in the village of Filkins, just on the Gloucestershire-Oxfordshire borders. Now, the last time I came here, Alexis Thompson, who runs the school, taught me how to make pesto, and I enjoyed it so much I thought it would be fun to come back. And now I'm hoping that we will do that on a pretty regular basis. So join me today while Alexis tries once again to turn me into a moderate cook. We're going to try a Spanish omelette. Come with me. Well, Alexis, it's lovely to be here in your beautiful kitchen.
Welcome
and I'm
back.
so looking forward to this. It's very exciting indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, as I've already said to you, this is all about the business of learning to cook from basics, because I am a klutz. I've been here for a little while this morning, and already neither Alexis or Ross has stopped laughing at me, because I started trying to practice a little in the last few days, and the damage I did to myself was substantial. I bought myself a beautiful new frying pan with a metal handle so that I could put it in the oven. I'd seen it done on telly. And then when I took it out of the oven, of course, I left it on the top and then grabbed it, and as a result, I burnt my hand. I think there's a solution, Alexis.
There is a solution, and that's a very nasty burn. The reason this happens, and I will say to you, you are not alone, because our brains are programmed to say, that's a handle, I'll just pick it up. And so your brain doesn't think that's a red hot handle because that's just come out of the oven. So the way that will never happen again is how you save your skin is, here's your pan, you've got your whatever it is in it that's about to go in the oven. You get a bit of flour. And you just tap raw flour onto the handle and then carefully put that into the oven with the flour on. When you get it out and it's cooked, that will have gone dark brown. So when you put that on your hob, and I think this is what happened to you, you put it on the hob, did something else, came back to it and went like that, and of course the heat that's still retained will give you a very nasty burn. You'll see brown flour and your brain will say, hang on, why has that got brown flour? Oh, because it's red hot, and you won't burn yourself like
That's
that again.
absolutely brilliant.
It's so simple, isn't it?
It'll avoid doing this again. And
Yes.
I'm not sure my hand is going to be particularly good today. I shall do my best.
We shall take very good care of you. That's a nasty burn.
It doesn't
Right,
hurt. That's a
there we go.
brilliant tip. What a
There
great
we go.
start
Off
to the
to a
show.
good
That's
start.
a fantastic tip. Now, Alexis, you're going to show me how to make a Spanish omelette today.
I am. Now, I have to say to you, I call this Spanish omelette, and I think that's a bit of a made-up name.
Right.
This is one of my most favourite dishes. It is a one-pot dish. We're just going to use one frying pan for it, and it is the best way of using up leftovers I've ever come across.
Right.
You basically go into the fridge and you find what's left over, and it can all go in a Spanish omelette. That's the joy of it. Cheap, very cheerful, good for you, portable, fantastic for picnics, great if you need something different to put in a lunchbox. The Spanish omelette does all of these things. Hurrah!
Because you can eat it cold as well. then,
Absolutely, it is a splendid dish. Yes.
Yeah, right.
So I have done exactly that. I went into the fridge and I thought, what have we got for Robin? So here's what I found for you. I had a few mushrooms left over. little bit of nice streaky bacon. That's out of my garden, little courgette out of the garden. And these are our uncooked ingredients, which we're going to cook first.
Right.
And then these are ingredients that don't need any cooking, but we're knocking around. A few cooked beans from a salad niçoise, so we'll have those. A few little cooked salad potatoes, so we'll pop those in. And look, really, this is cupboard food. Little bit of cheddar cheese, so we'll have that too.
Lovely.
So all of those things can go into a Spanish omelette and essentially put in whatever floats your boat. What
Yeah.
can you find in the fridge? Bung it in a Spanish omelette.
Brilliant.
So,
Okay.
first things first, let's prep up the stuff that needs cooking. So you're going to just chop your little onions. Chop your mushrooms. I am a professional. Chop your mushrooms into nice slices, and I'll show you another nice trick, because the problem with the mushroom is it does that.
Yeah.
So that makes it difficult to chop straight away. So here's the thing to do. Just take a little sliver off his bottom,
Right.
and then you've got a nice flat surface.
Brilliant.
And then you can just chop your nice slices without it rolling around. The
Brilliant.
other thing I'm
Okay.
going to show everybody, because this is also keeping you safe, is underneath your chopping board is a non-slip mat. So this board will not move when you chop on it. And again, at home, that's really important. Damp J-cloth, tea towel,
Right.
whatever you've got to hand, because with a big knife, if a board moves on a work surface, you're in danger.
You start taking the
Yeah.
tops of your fingers
So,
off. And actually,
that's
very
your first
important
job.
considering the fashion of granite surfaces, which
That's so
everything
true.
moves around.
Very
on there,
slippy,
doesn't
very
it?
beautiful, but obviously a very slippy surface.
Yeah, okay.
So that's your first job. Let's get those
Right,
mushrooms
okay.
prepped up. So
Now, I noticed you started by putting the tip of your knife down on the board. Is that right?
yes.
That's right.
Now another thing that we can talk about is the way that you hold a knife,
Right.
which we'll do very quickly. Do a little bit of knife skills.
Yeah.
We'll just take his little bottom off and get him ready to go.
Hmm.
Typically, people will hold a knife like that,
Right.
or like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, although it will work like that, you're much safer if you put your forefinger and thumb on the very back end of the blade. This is called the bolster, this part of the knife, and you're right up against the bolster,
Right.
and then your fingers go around the handle, and you actually suddenly you're in much more control of that knife, because in the other methods it sort of flops around and the pressure is in the wrong place. But here, most of your work is going to be done by the back of the knife, so it means you're in exactly the right place to get the pressure right.
Brilliant.
And you already, I think you maybe have done this before, but you've got a lovely rocking motion, and that's exactly how you cut. The knife is never leaving the board.
No,
It's not
right.
making a terrible old racket,
No.
and you did exactly the right thing, and then you go through just like this and get those lovely slices. So
Perfect.
whether that was instinct or training, you were spot on. So carry
It
on.
comes from watching far too much television.
Oh no, that's never a bad
But
thing.
that's actually brilliant because you're actually holding the blade
Yes.
too. I can see
Yeah,
that makes a
exactly.
difference. Okay, so
Right.
I love this idea of shaving that.
Yes,
Just-
shave his bottom.
yes.
There we go.
That works very well. Okay. And I have a terrible tendency to bang the board with. That's not good for your knives, is it?
Well, it's not terrific for the knives. You don't have to. I sometimes think it's chefy showing off when
Is
you
it?
when you see professional chefs making a right old
Flamboyant,
racket.
yes,
Very
yeah,
flamboyant,
yeah.
lovely.
Okay.
Right. So there's our mushroom ready to rock and roll. Let's with this courgette. You're going to take the top and the bottom off, and then I would say maybe we'll cut him down his length and just do nice little pieces, because
Right,
I don't want a
okay.
walloping great bit of courgette in a Spanish omelette.
Right, so and down the length.
Yeah, down the length. Lovely. And there you are. Again, you've created your nice flat surface, which is nice and
Right.
safe.
Is that sort of size we're talking about?
Yeah,
Or
a little bit
thicker?
thicker than that. And I see that sneaky finger's gone back into position on top of them.
Ah, so
yeah, you
nice.
see. Don't worry, everybody does it. It's quite
Well
all right.
spotted. I shall do my best to become a good student. But
Very
okay.
good, very good.
It's interesting, that thing of sticking one's finger out at things. It's a bit like a cup of tea, isn't it? Really?
Yes, indeed. Right, so let's lose the top and the bottom, which are in there somewhere, aren't they?
All
There we
right,
are.
yeah.
Put those in our rubbish bowl. Now, this
Right.
is a simple thing that makes cooking at home much easier. We've got a bowl for our rubbish.
Yeah.
Because when you cook at home, the tendency is every time you've got a bit of something to throw away, you leave where you are, you walk over to the bin, you throw it away, you come back, and there's if we got Ross to film you in real time, you'd be doing this and doing that and
Yes,
doing this and doing.
absolutely.
Have a bowl on the table for the rubbish. rubbish.
Yeah,
And then it all
brilliant.
goes in there, and then you stick that in the compost bin at the end. Much simpler.
Absolutely brilliant. Because I'm a great believer in keeping the surroundings tidy, because that does make a big difference.
It does make
That's
a big
that's good
difference,
solution.
and it's a very good practice to get into. Keep
Right.
your surface nice and tidy. Now, your final thing is this lovely streaky bacon. I had a few bits left over, so I thought we'll have those for Robin's Spanish Omelette. With this, I think the easiest thing in the world is kitchen scissors, because
Right.
bacon tends to stick to a knife. So nice sharp pair of kitchen scissors, and with this, I would say if we do them pieces about that size,
Right,
so you can
okay.
snip that lot up. That's lovely.
Very thing.
And while you're doing that, I'm going to get you a dough scraper, and you're going to think, why do I need a dough scraper? And I'll show you.
I'm not sure I even know what a dough scraper is.
Right,
if
a
I've
dough
worked
scraper
on
is
it.
one of those,
Oh,
and I'll show
right,
you why
okay.
that's going to be useful in a minute.
Right, okay.
Right, so I'm going to get
Here we go.
our little pan on the go, so we'll just wait for that to heat up a little bit. So all of these things are the things that need cooking, and we're just going to use one saucepan. We're going to cook them in this and make our omelette in this. It makes life so much easier.
Right.
So we just let that heat up a little bit.
They
We-
already look beautiful.
I know,
Sure.
I just, well, the colours are very pretty, aren't they? We've got some nice contrasting colours going on. So, I'm only going to put a tiny bit of oil into this pan for you, because the bacon will release a bit of fat. Not a huge amount, but a bit. So let's
Right,
pop a little
okay.
bit of oil in there. So we've got a nice little bit of olive oil, so we'll put a spot in.
Can we just stop there a second? Right, so a small amount, very small,
Small
amount
amount of oil, and we'll just start heating that up. Now, the reason I got the dough scraper out is because how would you get this into the pan? If you were at home and I wasn't watching you, you've
Yeah.
chopped your stuff up, what would you
Yeah.
do now to get it into the pan?
Actually, in a rather unclumsy way, I'd probably take the pan to this and just
Okay.
scrape it in. Is probably
Yes,
what I'd
and
do. But
normally what happens is people's lovely sharp knife gets involved
Yes.
at this stage, and they
And they
do
do
that,
that,
which
yeah.
is terrible for the blade of the knife.
Yeah.
So I am recommending to you the marvellous dough scraper, which is such a useful implement in the kitchen. It's just a plastic scraper with
Yeah.
a slightly beveled thin edge, because the joy of this is you can get underneath everything that you need and
Yeah.
just take it in one go over to your pan. So that's exactly what you're going to do, Chef. You're going
That's
to get the
absolutely
bacon in
brilliant.
to start with. Let's get that all over there.
Right,
In
lovely.
it goes. Lovely.
Oops.
There we go. And I've given you a nice little silicone spatula. You can just start giving that a little shuffle round.
Right. Okay.
Perfect.
Oh, wonderful smell already.
Now that is going to take slightly longer to cook than the rest of it, but what we're going to do is, because this is a nice speedy dish, we're kind of going to get everything in at the same time. So
Right.
that's underway, which means it's releasing a little bit more fat. Let's get those mushrooms in.
Right.
Because I know it might look like quite a lot at the moment, but they will disappear, as you know, they'll disappear to nothing.
They do. They
Yeah.
release a lot of moisture.
Yes,
don't they?
so we'll get
Yeah.
those in, and you can start giving those a nice little turn round with your spatula, and then we'll put the courgettes in last of all.
Right.
Now, good practice, you should really be hanging on to that with it. That's
Okay.
it. So again, that will move around, and you
Yeah.
just want to be safe always when you're cooking. Whenever there's heat involved, sharp things in heat, you just want to stay nice and safe.
These are great tips. These are great tips. It's
I don't want
exactly
any
what
more
need.
incidents. I
No,
don't want you to damage yourself. Not on my watch,
Not on
anyway.
your watch, exactly.
Right, let's get that
Okay.
in. Yeah, perfect. In they go. See, already, look at those colours. Don't they look pretty?
They really do. It's absolutely beautiful.
My courgettes were funny this year in the garden because they didn't do anything for ages. It's been such a funny summer for fruit
Yeah.
and vegetables.
Yeah.
And now, suddenly, at this stage, they're going mad, which is rather late, but it's okay. We forgive them.
Well, it's rather lovely to have these tiny courgettes like that.
I know,
this
little
time.
baby
It's
courgettes, which
very
you can pay a
nice.
fortune for in the
Yeah.
shops. So there we go. So what we're looking for is to crisp the bacon up and to get the mushrooms so that they've got a nice bit of browning going on and that they've released most of their moisture. Now you can see how much moisture is coming from the vegetables.
Right.
All that steam is telling you that's their water being released. And we want to try to get rid of as much of that as we can because it will make your omelette a bit soggy otherwise.
Right.
So a little bit more stirring, Chef. Let's keep that going. Lovely. And then once we've done that, we shall get on with the other prep of the ingredients that don't need the cooking.
Yeah. Okay. So the next thing we've done a little bit of cooking.
Yes.
With the magic of television off air. That's taken about 2.5 minutes.
Yes,
roughly.
no more than that.
And the amount of steam coming off is diminished,
Yes.
and therefore that shows less moisture in the
Yes.
thing. You've got rid of quite a lot of moisture.
And also, the mushrooms have done that thing of disappearing to nothing. So we know that that's now had a nice bit of cooking, and actually that will continue to cook. There'll be enough heat still in the pan. It's quite a heavy bottom pan.
Yeah.
That will carry on doing a bit of cooking while you do the next part.
Right.
So
Okay.
now we move on to the ingredients that are already cooked that just need to be prepped for size. So tomatoes out of the garden as well, and I think with these, if I may demonstrate what we're going
please.
to do with one. So now you may think I'm being pernickety, but I pride myself on pernickety-ness. Not even sure if that's a word.
Well, we'll
I
invent
don't.
it.
Well, let's invent it. I don't like the core in tomatoes. I
Right.
just think it's lazy when people don't take the core out. I don't want to chomp on a green bit. So all I'm going to get you to do is very carefully just take the cores out, put them into our rubbish bowl, and then
Right.
that's much nicer to eat. And I think probably quarters is what we're after.
Okay.
So there you go, sir.
Lovely. So take the. Oh, I just first of all. This,
Yes, take that.
sorry.
Yes, little
First of all,
wedge.
take
So
the wedge out.
carefully. That's it. Only there we go. Perfect.
Like carpentry, really.
Exactly. There we go. Beautifully done. A mitered corner on your tomato, or whatever it is. You can tell I don't know about carpentry.
No, well, I don't either. Like
Now, some of it, there you go. You see,
Isn't
isn't that perfect? It hasn't even got one. There we go.
Okay.
See, I grow only the best.
Only the finest. That's brilliant. These are lovely, actually.
They're
These are-
nice little toms, aren't
Yeah.
they? Really nice. So.
Oh, well, it has a little bit of a one, so it's just so that I can
Yes,
practice.
there you go. Practice your wedge. Just carefully does it. Perfect. There we go. Lovely.
I'm enjoying this. This
Particularly in a salad, I think taking the core out really elevates a salad to
Yeah.
just more delicious, nicer to eat.
There's something rather wonderful, flattering about taking that kind of trouble for your guests as well,
Yes.
I mean, because it is part of the whole process.
It is
isn't
part
it?
of the whole
It's,
process. And when I was training, I remember that one of the things I was really impressed upon me is that people eat with their eyes first.
Yeah.
So that even if you're cooking at home and it's for, family, serve it beautifully. Put a bit of garnish on. If you've slopped the soup on the side of the plate, just clean it off.
Clean it off,
It
exactly.
takes a moment, doesn't
Yeah,
it?
absolutely.
So, right, lovely tomatoes ready to go. So exactly so, you can move those to the side. Here are my little cooked green beans. So I would say with these, Robin, probably into pieces about 1 inch long. So you
Right,
can do a few
okay.
at a time, and let's just get those into inches. That's grand.
No need to take any of the ends off. or
Oh
anything
no,
like that,
the tiny little. I always top them, but I don't bother with the tails because the
Okay.
tails are just a bit more of bean, aren't they? So
Well,
that's it.
indeed,
There
absolutely.
we go.
Like
Perfect.
that.
Lovely. Bit more colour.
Yeah.
And then last but not least of our cooked ingredients, we've got these lovely little salad potatoes. So again, it's your choice. I tend to quarter rather than slice because the slices fall to pieces a bit.
Yeah,
So it's your choice though, sir. You
Okay.
decide.
No,
And-
I like that idea. I know that I usually do slice potatoes, and you're absolutely right. The slivers start
They
dropping
just
to
fall
pieces.
bits, don't they? Yes.
Yeah. So this gives some texture. I'm nearly managing to refrain from putting my finger on the top of the knife.
No, you've done very well. Very well.
There we
And the
go.
joy of this is we've now got a little bit of carb in there. So actually we really are covering all the food groups. We've got
Yeah.
the protein from the eggs, a little bit of carb, lots of fibre, a little bit of extra protein from the bacon. But this is also a delicious vegetarian dish. You can very easily make it without any
Just
meat in
remove
it.
the
So
meat, remove the
perfect. So that's all good to go. So the very last thing is a little bit of grated cheese. So there it is, the very end of some cheddar cheese. And if you do it on the broad side of the grater, that's fine. And we'll use all that cheese up, Robin.
Okay.
It's the perfect thing to do. This is why I love this dish. It's sort of, I call it a cupboard meal. You see what there is knocking about in the cupboard and then you make
And
it
use
with what you've
Well,
got.
in so many times, that's what's important. And if one can
Yeah.
do that reasonably quickly, then that's...
Yes.
So, okay, I'm going to be left with a couple of small lumps of cheese. here.
No, that's fine. If you just run those down the outside, I mean they'll probably melt in. So that's
Yeah.
but if they're really big, you
suppose I
could
could do-
just do a couple more turns on there.
All right.
That's
I'll just
perfect.
do one of those.
Perfect. Okay. Right. As they say, you can't make an omelette without breaking eggs.
No, well, no,
so
this is very
here we go. So nice fresh eggs, and we are going to use 4 because we're going to make a reasonably generous portion of omelette. So what I would like you to do is crack them before you put them in the big bowl. We're going to crack them individually into this smaller bowl, and there is a good reason for that. I'm going to get the grater out of the way. And the reason is, if you crack it and you get a bit of shell in, if you've put them all straight into this bowl, you're then chasing a tiny bit of shell round a really large quantity of eggs.
Yeah.
And also, if there's anything about these eggs we don't like, I can't imagine there would be, but if an egg had gone over, if you add it all to the main bowl, you've then ruined all of the eggs by cracking them straight into the big bowl. Yeah. So if we do them one at a time, we're quality control checking as we go.
That makes eminent sense.
There we go.
And I mean, I grew up at a time when collecting eggs from the hen hutch meant that sometimes you found one that might have been there for goodness knows.
Exactly, and many people have chickens. I used to have chickens, and they were a great delight to me, except they ate my garden.
Well,
and that's why I had to stop having them. But they are rather joyful creatures, and I will definitely have them again. So I'm making you a bit of space.
Right.
So there we go, sir. And there's your rubbish bowl, as we discussed earlier, nice and handy for the shells. So off we go.
Now,
whole egg.
In my hopelessly amateurish kind of cooking I've done before, I used to use a table knife just to crack the egg with.
Yes, I've seen quite a lot of people do that. I'm not mad on it because I think that cracks shell into the egg.
Okay.
So I just wrap it on the side of a thin ringed bowl and then split it. Exactly.
Just
Perfect.
like that.
There we go. Look at that. So that's good. That one can go in the big bowl. Yeah, we're happy with that. Quality control check.
Okay. And a small piece of shell.
Right, is that a bit of shell?
I think that's a bit of shell, isn't it? Oh,
no, I think it's a little bit of cheese from your finger. I think we're all right.
Okay.
We're passing that one. There we go.
Right. I ought to put a piece of shell in here just to demonstrate.
Just to demonstrate. Oh, you're being too good. You're being too effective. No, that's it. 4 beauties. Right, in it goes. Lovely.
Perfect.
Now, I am going to add to that half an eggshell full of water. Just to thin it down a little bit. You never add milk to an omelette, you only add milk to a scrambled egg mixture.
Oh, right.
So I'm going to add just a little bit of water. There we go, that'll do. Now you've got a nice silicone bottomed whisk there. If you want to give that a good old whisk round.
Okay. Now this obviously mixes everything, but does it put a bit of air in there as well? Is that
I suppose it does. I mean, we're not too worried about it being airy. That looks good.
Okay,
now, as ever, we need to season. So I have got for you nice cracked black pepper and sea salt. So a nice pinch of both of those. And in there, I've given you a mixture of marjoram and oregano, just for a little bit of herbiness.
Lovely.
If you had some fresh herbs kicking around, a little bit of parsley would be lovely. But dried herbs on this occasion, absolutely fine. And as I say, it is a cupboard dish, so we have that in the cupboard.
Okay, brilliant.
So season away, sir.
So a pinch of salt. Now, I seem to remember that the last time I was in this kitchen, you told me that there's a difference between my normal pinch and a proper pinch.
Well, indeed.
So I'm supposed to use 3 fingers.
That's it. Yes. So
like that?
Yes, maybe not quite as much as that because it's not a huge quantity. That's good. Yeah, go with that.
Sort of thing.
Lovely.
There.
In it goes. Perfect.
Right.
And then just as much pepper as you like. Just a little bit of pepper for piquancy. Lovely.
Very nice.
And then however much of the mixed herbs you would like.
Well, I'd like to use all of that.
Good. So would I. Right? Stick it in.
Okay.
Great. Lovely stuff.
Brilliant.
Right. Another whisk round.
Right.
Right. So, and now into that we're going to put everything else. So if you would like to gently with your dough scraper, you can lob in your vegetables and your beans and your tomatoes. Oh no, sorry, into the egg mixture.
I'm sorry.
No, it's quite all right. Do you know what? It wouldn't have mattered if you put them in there. This is my method, but do you know what? It would have been fine. Doesn't matter at all.
Okay, but this is interesting. So it actually gets into a coating of egg and all that kind of thing.
Coats it really thoroughly.
Nice
right,
idea.
this got in next. There we go.
I love the idea of these. Oh look, I've just
Quite
dropped
all right,
piece
a bit of
tomato.
extra seasoning. There we go. It's
Yes,
fine.
that's-
We don't worry about anything in Dancing Trousers. You see,
Okay,
nothing.
fair enough.
That's why our logo is a little splat. Because what's the
Oh, I
worst thing that
see.
could happen? You drop it on the floor. We'll make
Yeah,
another one.
we'll do it again.
Right now, with these, because they are a little bit bigger, I'm going to make you just chop those up a bit because they
Okay.
may not melt in the time that
Yeah,
you need.
okay.
Perfect. Look at that lovely finger. Look at that. He's got it. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Right,
But-
lovely. Pop
No,
the
that's
egg in as
interesting.
well. That's it.
All of
We're
that
on the
goes
home
into the
straight. Yep, lovely.
Wonderful. And not a
Right.
drop of wastage.
No,
to see.
lovely. So, quick little stir round. I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
get this going for you. So we've got our cooked ingredients ready to go, and just in the time that they've been sitting in the pan, we've got that nice dryness to them. The mushrooms are perfectly cooked and nicely dried out.
Right,
Right.
lovely.
So here comes the fun. I'm going to swap sides with you.
Right.
La, la, la. You're going to take that lot, and whenever you're ready, you're going to gently tip it into the saucepan.
Just pour it into there.
And let's move that out of the way. There we go. We don't need to add any more fat, but if you wanted to, you could put a little bit of butter in, but because we had a bit of oil for cooking up the bacon and so forth, that would
Yeah.
be fine. Lovely. Right,
That's
scoop it
wonderful.
all out. Waste not, want not.
Oh, right.
Yes, come on.
Yes,
There's a
okay.
bit of cheese left in there.
Sorry. Yes,
That's
that's
it,
the
perfect.
thing about wastage. As I've already told you, I watch a lot of television
Indeed.
of this kind of thing, and I'm amazed by how much
Right.
there appears to be wasted.
Shuffle a little bit just to get everything nicely underneath the
even
level
it
of
out.
the... That's it, exactly so.
Right.
There we
Yes,
go.
it's wonderful. Yep.
And then we'll just wait for a moment for the heat to start doing its work. And then I'm going to get you, unlike a French omelette where you would be flopping it backwards and forwards in the pan, we're going to do a little bit of that, but it doesn't require quite as much moving around.
Right,
But you
okay.
can start to just gently, can you see where the egg's cooking? We can see it going already.
Yeah.
So just gently give it a stir round, coming in for, that's it,
Sort of in
perfect.
from the edges.
Yep, in
Right,
from the
okay.
edges. There we go. And that's it. Lovely.
Is that sort of
Okay,
thing you had in
yeah,
mind?
that's grand. There we go. That's it, perfect. And then the other thing that you can do when you're doing something like this is just use the edge to come down and keep that free around
Right,
the edge like
okay.
that. Now, while you're keeping an eye on that, I'm going to put the grill on because we'll finish it by just popping it very briefly under the grill to get the top cooked. So I'm
Right,
going to
I
do
see.
that.
Okay. That stops the bottom burning and cooks the top.
Exactly.
Okay.
So this will only take a couple of minutes, really won't take all that long. Look at that, full of lots of lovely
It
things.
does look wonderful, I must say.
There we go. And there we go. Egg always tells you what's happening. That's the joy of cooking with eggs. So we can see that's all starting to set up. So I think you can stop shuffling now. That's
Right.
good. And maybe just slightly spread out some of those top pieces a little bit. That's it, out to the edges so that all the portions have got nice equal quantities of delicious things. Perfect. There we go. Looking good. There we go.
Wonderful.
There we go. So I would say that's probably a minute more on the hob, and then we will just, by which time that grill will be ready to go,
Nice
and then we'll
one.
pop it under there. Perfect. So that's had a couple of minutes. I think that's had enough time cooking from underneath, Robin. So what we're going
Right.
to do now is just quickly put it under a hot grill, but really just for a moment. So
Okay.
off you go, sir. That's it. Steady as you go.
Under there, just
Yes,
on the
under
bottom.
there,
Okay.
and we'll just
Right.
keep a nice eye on it because egg cooks very quickly. The other quality that egg has, which can sometimes catch you out in the kitchen, is even when you've turned the heat off, the egg goes on cooking.
Right.
So scrambled eggs is a typical example. People have it beautifully soft and fluffy. They turn the heat out, they turn around to make a piece of toast, and it's bullets
And
by
it's
the
got
time
it
they turn
right,
back.
yes, yeah.
So my rule with scrambled eggs is always turn it off about half a minute before it's reached the consistency you want.
Yeah,
Because
okay.
they can be a
Yeah.
bit cheeky like that. So what you can see actually is it now puffs up rather attractively. When
Yeah.
it's under the grill, the heat gets the egg to sort of puff up and look pretty.
Mm-hmm.
So really that won't be long at all. Shall we get a plate and then we've got something
think that's a good
to
idea.
serve it on. So
So there it is. It's been in the under the grill for just a
Well,
minute and a half.
couple of minutes,
just
yes,
to,
no
just
more.
to watch for that.
Yeah.
The the completion. And what
Yes.
you've said is that there is a problem because when eggs do suddenly turn to being exactly what they want, they will go on cooking.
They
if you're
will
not
go.
careful,
They
so-
will go on cooking. You have to
Yeah.
have a care with eggs, and you see it's puffed up rather prettily
Very
as well.
nice,
So it
very
looks very nice. And I thought what we'd do is serve it with a little bit of a green leaf salad. So we've got some baby spinach leaves and a little bit of rocket.
Yeah.
But a salad is naked without a little bit of something on it.
Absolutely.
And so I'm going to show you the easiest way in the world to dress a little bit of salad, which takes about 15 seconds. So
Right.
very nice virgin olive oil, extra virgin olive oil, nice and dark and peppery. So you're going to give it a nice little sprinkle of that,
Right.
and then you're going to squeeze a fresh lemon over the top. So give it a
All right,
sprinkle with that
okay.
first, Robin.
Yeah.
Just a nice little glossing. Perfect. I love those squeezy bottles.
These are
They're
good.
very
This is
controllable and
very useful
yeah,
indeed.
really useful because quite
Yeah.
often the top of actual oil bottles don't even have a dropper system, so
No.
it'll come out in a right old rush.
No, absolutely. No,
Right,
that's
we've got you a nice
100%.
clean board, so we've changed your board and your knife over. Cut
Right.
your lemon through the middle that way.
Right.
Oh, lovely finger, look at that, perfect. And then all you're going to do to dress this salad is just squeeze half a lemon through your fingers so that you're catching any pips that come out in your
Right,
hand.
okay.
And that's the world's easiest salad dressing right there, just a nice little covering. There you go, perfect, look at that,
Okay.
spot on. Now, here's the other
Ideal.
thing. You don't throw this away. Shall I tell you
No.
what you do with this?
Right.
Once you've used a lemon and you've got a half lemon shell, you prong it onto one of the prongy bits of your dishwasher when you set your dishwasher going.
Right.
And it cleans the inside of your dishwasher and it leaves everything extra sparkly. You put your tablet in as usual, but you put the half a lemon shell in too.
Well, I'm blessed.
There you go.
That's the
best
absolutely
fruit on the
brilliant.
planet, the lemon. Okay.
Fantastic.
So here's our lovely Spanish omelette. You made it, sir, so I think
Right.
you should serve it. So, you know, maybe a nice, decent wedge.
A nice wedge.
Yep,
Okay.
there we go. Nice plastic spatula to cut with because you don't want to spoil
Yeah.
your pan with using anything too harsh and abrasive.
No. So I'll make life simple and take a
There
quarter
we
round.
go. Lovely. And then go down the side. That's it. Perfect, perfect.
Right. So it's even going to come off perfectly.
Absolutely. There we go.
Very careful. Oh, I'm not going to get it quite on
Oh,
one
it
piece.
doesn't matter. Pop it
Oh,
on. There
there
we
you
go.
go.
There we go. Lovely.
Very nearly. Oh, it's a lovely fizzing noise coming out of there.
Now that is the perfect use of leftovers. It's
Yeah.
delicious. As I say, if you let that go cold, it's very portable as well.
Right.
So great for a lunchbox to make a change from sandwiches because we're all rather reliant on sandwiches and that's so much
Mm.
more interesting. So there it is.
And cut into small pieces. Once it's gone cold, it presumably goes quite solid.
Quite firm, yes.
And so you can then cut it into small pieces for finger food at a party.
Absolutely, you could. No
can
reason
make
not
it
to.
well in advance.
Indeed. I think you
So
ought to
it's
try it.
absolutely-
You've
well, I
cooked
mean,
it.
this
You
is
ought to
absolutely
give it a go.
Wonderful. I shall do that very thing. And then we will. And then you must try yourself and
I
tell me
shall.
what I've made.
I
It's
shall.
about messy.
I think you've done a very good job.
It's absolutely delicious.
Lots of good things.
You can taste all the ingredients.
Hmm.
That's absolutely delicious.
And there you go, all from leftovers
Oh, wonderful.
and a few eggs. Hurrah! Well
This is
done.
A brilliant start. Thank you very much indeed.
It's my pleasure.
Extremely good news. I shall
Great.
practice this and my wife will be astonished.
Well,
Thank you very
hurrah,
much.
and no more burns.
And no more birds, with a bit of luck. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
Hi, I hope you enjoyed the show. It was enormous fun doing. Now, if you'd like to visit us on Facebook and Twitter, please do. We'll be uploading content every week and a full 45-minute show at the end of every month. If you'd like to subscribe to our YouTube channel, we'll keep you informed of progress. I look forward to seeing you next month.